back again to the product-driven and personality-driven, can you give examples of people who've done both?
Yeah, I think you're a wonderful example of product-driven. I think you've done some really fine product launches. You're quite the master at that. So maybe I should let you tell your story. Put it back on you.
Yeah, the product-driven, you've probably already heard in my voice, is not my favorite one.
That one's burnt you out, I think, worn you down, huh?
Burnt me out. You're not kidding. I was trained in Internet marketing since 2002. I started reading the e-books of how you make money online, and basically everybody was saying the same thing, that you find a talent, you write something about your talent, come up with some little e-book that everybody's searching for. The starving market is dying for this little piece of information that you have. You create a product around that. You learn to write sales copy that reels people in, just schools of fish at a time. Then you make money from that, and you start all over. You create another product geared toward another starving market. You write great sales copy for that. You sell that. You make some money, and then you start all over. So there's really I'm not going to say no residual income, but very little residual income because you're always having to start all over. Over time, that's a very frustrating way to go. You may have an arsenal of great products that you've created, but you're kind of in a catch-22 where you either spend all your time marketing those products or you create more products that you can, keep. It's like Groundhog Day all over again. I'm not thrilled with my career online as a product marketer. That's really not been resonating with me the whole time I've been doing it. So I am joyfully jumping over to the other side of the bridge and learning about what you're talking about with the personality-driven stuff.
Right. And the funny thing is you love to create products.
Oh, yeah, I do.
I mean, you've got them running out your ears over there. It's just getting that big launch every time is such a bear to have to think about it. It kind of slows you down, doesn't it?
Oh, my gosh. The launch part is detail after detail after detail. Sweat. The hardest work of it all, to me, is that huge product launch. And that can take literally, Marnie, longer than creating the product.
Yeah, that's true.
So once I get a product done and I look and think that I have to go through this big, giant launch, it's much easier for me to grab hold of the next inspiration, create the next product. And like you say, I've got a shelf full of products, but I don't want to launch any of them.
Right.
Yeah, well, I know that there are people who love product marketing. And so I'm not trying to lasso everybody over to the other side. There are some personality types who that's just...
Yeah, they love that. And that's fine. Yeah.
I'm just not one of them.
Yeah, I mean, it takes all kinds. I don't think one of them is necessarily more intrinsically good or bad or whatever. It's just which one fits your personality, I think, and fits what you're trying to accomplish.
True. And now you have a good friend who has just kind of catapulted herself through this personality-driven stuff.
Yeah. She's a romance novelist, Marcia Lynn McClure, and she actually got her start by writing these stories because she was tired of not being able to read romances because they were just too muddy for what she wanted to read. So she started writing these stories mainly for her friends at Christmas as Christmas presents. And so she'd give them away as Christmas, and then they'd tell their friends about them, and then people would, hand her a 20 and say, can you Xerox me a copy of that? And so she started Xeroxing all these copies, and then until finally somebody said, let's get you into print, helped her get published and everything. And so she built this kind of fan base from feel-good sort of romance of the old-fashioned days, and you could count it not to get across the line of just too much. Okay. So by doing that, people came to depend on what they would get from a Marcia Lynn McClure novel. So she has a mailing list, and on that mailing list, she's got a good number of people who are fans and everything. And if anybody knows response rates, you're doing good probably to get 6 to 10% response rates nowadays from email campaigns. You might get 20, 30, 40, 20 or 30 if you've got a good list probably. Well, Marcia will get 50% response rate. 50% of the people open it. If she puts out a new book, about half of her list will buy over the course of a month or two. So she just has to be who she is. They know what they're going to get, and there's no big launch every time. She'll just send a quick email and say, the new book on this is out, and people go to a page, they read it's no sales pitch on the page even. It's just a excerpt and like the back of the book blurb stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And, they just buy. They don't need all of that big sales pitch because they're already sold on Marcia.
Oh, awesome.
If you can build that kind of a persona where people just gobble up anything you do. And the funny thing is like if you were to talk to people who are experts on how to get published and how to get a bestseller and all these different things, they would tell you that fiction, don't bother with it. Write nonfiction, it's easier to sell. So the fact that she can do that with fiction,
that's astonishing.
Tells you something.
Yeah. So this is just the perfect example of what you said about taking time to build a fan base, and then you're very clear on who you are. Everybody else is clear on who you are,
mm-hmm.
and they just buy what you put out.
Yeah, and you have to be true to what you are. I think I may have said this before on another interview that I did, is like somebody came up to Marcia at a convention and said, have you ever thought about writing a tragedy? We'd like to see you write something. What if it didn't have a happy ending? And she's like, do you know who I am? It's like, number one, I don't know if I could. It's just not in me. And number two, my fans would revolt, So you kind of have to know what you stand for and what you're known for, and you've got to stay true to it. And it really requires some integrity to not go get off focus and get, like, oh, what if she had thought that she could make a lot of money if she wrote a tragedy? Somebody told her she could do that, and she followed that because she thought she could make a lot of money. Well, she could really mess up what she's got going.